Hi, I'm Jennifer, and I'm feeling good today because it's my birthday eve. Just
Again?
kidding. We're recording this on my birthday eve.
Okay. And I am Krystle, and I am really excited for today's topic.
And we are Such a Effing Lady, the podcast. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back.
Now, we usually lead with a segment. I'll get to our guest in a second. You looked with concern. We usually have a segment called Give a Lady Her Flowers.
We do.
And if you recall a couple episodes ago, Krystle apologized for not having
Unnecessary.
for not having her homework done. I misremembered how that transpired, and so I thought I didn't need to have flowers available.
Thought I had to
for
have
this
flowers.
episode,
Mhm.
and it turns out I did, but I don't. Like, do I have a list of names? I do, but I don't have like all the information.
You want it to be right.
I don't have all my thoughts written down about
Right.
them, and I don't want to wing it because it's worth more than winging it.
Well,
So
I just
don't
want to
have
say, Black woman, you are okay with not having done your homework. It's no harm, no foul. We are going to have a wonderful episode.
Ooh.
You don't need to feel a way about not doing your homework. Okay?
Me and my therapist work through these things.
Okay. I just want to affirm. Okay. And so our special guest is, thank you, Patrika.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And
Thank
I want to jump right into what is on this lovely card that you have provided to us. Jennifer, would you like to read
Why
the
did
mission?
I read that?
Because I thought that you were going and then you
I
had
was, but
handed
then
it
you
over to
started
me.
talking, so then I was just like, okay, go ahead. Clearly, you
Oh,
have something
my
to
bad.
say. I don't know. I'm going to read the mission of your organization, if you don't mind. Founder Patrika. BNA advocates nudity through naturist environments and activities to help promote healthy bodily images and self-esteem for those in the Black community. BNA stands for Black Naturists Association. And given the mission and what I know of you, I would have thought that would have stood for Black Nudist Association.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
Well, it depends on who you ask, because there are some people that will say like there's no difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the stance that we take, is that there's not a difference between nudist and naturist.
Okay.
It's just that naturist is a less alarming word to use when you say, oh, what does BNA stand for? Black Naturists Association.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, naturist. And then there are the people that think we go and hug trees, because we like nature and being outside and all that good stuff. So it's just a less alarming word to use to do naturist instead of nudist.
So I want to get into the Black part as well, because that leads me to believe that there are, I guess, other cultures or ethnicities that take part in the Naturists Association activities. So tell me about the Black precursor.
Well, one of the reasons why we even started in the first place is because we needed a space for people that enjoy being nude, that are Black, to be able to commune and, enjoy the activities and stuff like that around people that look like us. Because most nudists will tell you, when you go to different, resorts or beaches or campgrounds or whatever, you are used to being, one, fly in a bowl of milk, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
And so it's easy for a lot of people to just assume that Black people don't do that. But with a lot of other things that people think Black people don't do, we do. And there's a lot of us who do. It's just that, for a while, there was no community for us to know about the other people that also were interested. And so, what started off as, some friends just, getting together and like, let's go, to this place or that place. And we would always run into, a Black person that was not with us, and they would be like, "Oh my God,
what's going on?
Who are y'all? Is this a group? Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And after that happened a couple of times, we were like, you know what? This is a thing.
We should do this on purpose.
Yeah. We need to be more intentional about this, because it's definitely needed for sure. So
I have more questions. I'm excited though. So do you have questions before I jump in?
I do. Like, I think I want to roll it back a little bit.
Okay.
What does it even mean to be part of this community?
That's what yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, so you can be a member of BNA, right? So we have people that pay annual dues to be a member of our organization. And that means that you are a part of our private Facebook group to kind of, be able to socialize with other folks. You get first dibs and discounts on the trips that we do every year. And with that, you also get membership with ANR, which is the American Association for Nude Recreation, which is like a really large national organization with affiliated campgrounds and resorts and stuff like that all across the U.S. So if somebody wanted to go to one of those locations, you show them your membership card, you get discounts and stuff like that as well. But when we have meetups at a lot of places, you don't necessarily have to be a member to come out to a meetup because, there are a lot of people who, they kind of heard about it. They think they might want to try it. They're not really sure. So it's a way for people to kind of, test it out before saying, okay, I want to be a full-blown member, right? And there are varying degrees of it. Some people are more like social nudists. Some people are more home nudists. Some people are every chance I get to wander around naked, I'm going to take it, So it really, it's a full spectrum.
So if I may, a lot of things are going off in my brain. I'm just like, so there are meetups that you talked about. So when you're part of this organization, it doesn't mean that you're saying, I'm going to be nude everywhere I go. It's very organized, right?
Yes,
so tell us about what that looks like.
Okay.
And the nude part. And the rules and everything. Okay.
Yeah. So, like for example, a couple of weekends ago, we went down to Cypress Cove, which is in Kissimmee, right outside of Orlando. Cypress Cove is a really, really nice nudist resort, very tucked away. A lot of people don't even know it's there. Surprise. And they have facilities where if people have like campers or RVs, like you can post up there. They have people that live there full time. They have full-blown residences on property. They also have buildings with essentially hotel rooms that you can rent as well. They have, a couple of pools, a couple of hot tubs, full-blown restaurant, actually 2 restaurants and bars. Like it's full-blown facility, right?
And you're in the restaurant.
And you're doing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So, when we have a meetup like that, like this particular one, we stayed on premises for the whole weekend. And so the only thing was that it was a little chilly when we went a couple of weekends ago. Orlando is a little weird in the spring. Like it could be hot, it could not be. It just, kind of varies. So we did like a little like welcome kind of event on that Friday night. And folks that came in from out of town or drove in or whatever just came just to kind of meet the other people that were there with the group. Some of us had on clothes because, again, it was chilly. Some folks didn't mind it. And so, they were nude. So it was kind of mixed. But like the next day, we spent pretty much the entire day out at the pool. And out at the pool, like everybody's nude. There's a DJ, you're having a good time. They have like a grill, where there's a full bar, so you can get food and drinks and stuff like that, lay out, hang out. So those types of meetups, we just go to chill. Like you would go like, oh, I'm going to hang out at the pool today. Same thing. We're just naked. On the other hand, like sometimes we have, meetups that people will hold like at their homes. So it might be like a game night or something like that. We have a member where we always congregate like in his basement area. He has a pool table, we'll watch, sporting events, hang out at, a bar, have drinks and food. Just like if you go to a friend's house for a kickback, like we're literally doing the same thing. We're just naked.
So how do you all? I'm sorry.
It has to be fair. Okay.
Fine. Go ahead. It's your turn.
So,
you don't even have a question.
I do. I have a million questions. I'm trying to
figure out which
what's
one.
What's the person in basketball who controls the flow of the game? What's that position?
Oh, a referee.
I'm trying to be the point guard here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
and control the conversation to make it make sense. Like, we know what we know, but there's so much other people don't know. Then there's so much we want to know. What is happening?
Jay was telling me to move my hair. It must have been in the way of the mic. So go ahead, Jennifer.
So what I was getting at with how does one like become a member, I didn't really mean like BNA in particular. I mean like of like the nudist life or naturist lifestyle. Like, I am someone who like I could be naked in my house, well, by myself, but I wouldn't necessarily be naked if somebody came over to my house. I have a really great friend who will be naked all the time. Will FaceTime me and it's like, titties.
She's talking about me.
So sounds like you would be a great candidate for membership.
No.
See, that's what I need to ask. So, like, I'm the home person. I think she's, I don't know what social means, so I was going to ask for clarification with that. But, like, she's a very different level of naked than I am. But then there's, like, you know what? I want to be in public and party with people and also be naked. I'm trying to understand these.
Yeah.
How you close the gap.
Yeah.
You know, it's really it's a case by case sort of thing. Because you're right, there are people that have varying levels of comfort with nudity. You know, I know for me, I didn't have my first nude experience until I want to say 2008.
Okay.
But if you let my best friend tell it, she'd be like, girl, I always knew you like to be naked because when we were in high school, you just be walking around and you just didn't care. I'm like, okay, you know, right. But it wasn't until, you know, several years later, you know, that I had like an official, like, you know, nude beach, nude resort experience that I was like, oh, I like this. Because it really is, it is one of the most liberating things I've ever done. And it just really, you know, it gives you this sense of, I don't know if it's like comfort or confidence or a combination of all of that. But you really like realize, that everybody has a body. Some of us have a little more, some of us have a little less, but you know, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter.
That's a great segue to obviously the thing that makes people feel uncomfortable about being naked is you're exposed and you see our flaws and, you know, my muffin top, I can't suck it in, no Spanx to hold it up.
Right.
So how do you exist in a world where first it's uncomfortable for you, but you also are now like able to visually see someone else's and everything they got going on. And there's the vanity of it, like you can see their flaws. But then there's also the sexual part of it where it's like, I'm looking at your penis and I can't get that out of my head that like it's right there.
Yes.
Explain how that, you know, how do you get over that feeling?
I think you really just get used to it, you know, because there is, you know, especially for like first timers and newbies, like, you know, we tell people like there's going to be like the first like 2 minutes where you're like, oh my God. And then you realize like nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares. Just go about your business and like, it's fine. Right. And it's one of those things where you see, but you don't look, if that makes sense. So, you know, you're not in an environment where people are going to be like, you know, like, because that's rude, you know, and that's rude whether you have clothes on or not.
True.
And, you know, it just gets you to a level of comfort And also, I will say, a level of vulnerability for sure, right? Because, you know, I told someone this, you know, being nude in a pool is like the great equalizer, right? Because when you're in that pool and everybody's naked, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you drive. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in. It doesn't matter, you know, any of that stuff, brand name, whatever, you know, whatever hangups, like none of that stuff matters. What you have left is who you are. And that is what is most important at the end of the day, right? So it's like, yeah, you see, but it gives you a chance to like really like focus on, okay, who is this person? What are they saying? Right? Because yeah, you might see somebody and like they look good and you're like, oh, but then you start talking to them and they talk themselves all the way out of it.
It's like, I don't have panties on, but you have talked your way
all the way out of this. Just dry it up.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you don't have like, you know, all those things that, you know, essentially we use to hide behind, you know, you don't have any of that. Yeah. So all you have is your personality and who you are and, you know, what type of person you are. And, you know, that's the real
character alone.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
That is a quick one. So like, okay, like I said, I'm the at home person, right? I don't think my body is trash, but like I just still feel very like I have my insecurities. I would imagine, I don't know, because you like being nude clearly, but if I'm in this situation where like I have to strip down, like I imagine once I'm comfortable with it, then it's like you were saying like liberating, but I don't know. It's like now you can't tell me I can't do anything because like that would be like the scariest thing in the world. And then once nobody cares and I'm comfortable with it, that's like one hell of a fear hurdle to get over, I think.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
it is.
So it wasn't so much a question. I just want to share that. Yo, go.
Oh, okay. I mean, and I agree with you. I think it's like getting down because that's where intimacy starts with another person. It's just one person though that you trust and feel like, okay, I can be naked in front of them. Like I'm not naked in front of everybody, but I am naked in front of my closest friends. If they come upstairs to my bedroom and we're changing, I'm not gonna like go and be in the closet and uncomfortable because I don't want you to see my titty that you also have. That's it.
Yeah, and I would go in the bathroom and do it or say, wait a minute until I get dressed and then you come in.
Yeah. So what is it like to greet? How do greetings change when you have clothes and when you don't? Do you still hug? And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
really?
I'm a hugger. So
okay.
If I have on clothes or if I don't, like we're hugging. I mean, you know, some people are not huggers, so they're not going to be a hugger with clothes on or, you know, clothes off, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Okay, the clothes don't matter.
However you normally greet folks, go with it. And then if there is somebody that's not, you know, if they don't want to hug you, just kind of like in regular life, you know, they'll just put out their hand and be like, okay, shake hand, you know, keep it moving. It's not a big deal.
I feel like I'm a clothes-on hugger, but
skin
if
to
for
skin.
some reason we're both naked in the same room, I feel like that would feel different because now it's like titty to
titty. It's skin to skin, yeah.
Or you guys don't?
Yeah, but it's not. It's so not sexual.
Yeah,
you know, and I think the challenge is that a lot of people associate nudity with sex.
Yeah.
And you know, we spend a lot of time you know, educating people on, you know, the separation of the two, right? Because I could be naked and hug another naked person and like it's fine. Like, hey, how you doing? All right, woo, and we go about our business. It's not hug, rub. You know, we're not doing all of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're hugging, we're greeting.
It's a regular church hug.
It's a regular hug.
And how do you separate it though? Like how? Is that like you have to be?
But they're already separate. That's the thing. It's not that
we're making it separate. Yeah,
exactly. They're already separate, but the way that people have kind of been programmed and brainwashed is to associate them, and they're separate already. You just have to retrain your mind.
It's interesting because I can see how like it easily, like with our kids, It's not sexual, but I see my son's butt every day.
Yeah.
Yet I feel like if I just saw a man's butt, I might think
it's kind of like shame. Like you have to teach shame to children, right? Because they are little free spirits. You know, they pull off all their clothes and their diaper and everything and just run around. Until somebody says, hey, you're not supposed to do that. Cover this and cover that, blah, blah, right? So that's how they, you know, they learn that. But, you know, inherently just being in your naked, natural self is not sexual.
Right. Now, there are some families who do this, as like you kind of mentioned it earlier when saying what BNA is versus what it's not. Some people do have, I guess, children, families, everybody in the family is nude. Do you know anything about that and like what it's like? And is it ever, I don't know, multi-generational, or is everybody adult? What does that look like?
From what I've heard in the discussions that I've had is that it's such a part of their household that it's never really a conversation, right? In those instances, a lot of times it's, you know, oh, I grew up and, you know, my parents were always naked and they never made me put on clothes, so I was naked too. And you just grow up that way. And then it's like, ta-da.
Right.
That's just what we do.
Yeah.
And when it's a situation like that, then there's not a whole lot of prepping and priming that you have to do because it's a natural part of your life. However, when it comes down to like, you know, when you start, you know, having friends over and stuff like that, then it's like, okay, so how are we going to do this? You know, or are we going to, you know, when we have company, do we all put on clothes or do we not? Like, that's the kind of thing, I guess, you know, each individual household kind of has to decide, you know, on their own, like how they're going to handle that. But for a lot of people, you know, it's just, it is multi-generational because that's how it was when they were growing up and they don't think anything of it.
For you personally, is this something that was part of your life before you became a member? Like, were your parents into the Naturalist?
Not really. I would say, like, I had, there was this video that went around a couple of months ago, and it was like the naked mom. It's like, did you have a naked mom? And people were talking about that, right? So, like, so that was probably the extent of it. But it wasn't anything that was ever, like, discussed. It just was. And, you know, it wasn't until, I don't know, like maybe I was in college or something like that. And decided, you know, and I don't know, I was probably I'm such a nerd. I was probably reading, and, you know, heard about these places where you can go to beaches and be nude. I was like, oh, and so then, you know, once I finally got a chance to do it, I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So.
Cool. And you, when you say this is the best thing ever, it's like immediately you felt that way? Or did you have to warm up like you refer to people now?
No, it's pretty immediate.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember, so this was 2008. And I had, so I had planned my post-bar exam vacation. And about, I want to say May, June, decided I'm not taking the bar exam. But I'm still taking this vacation. So I went on this trip and it was just, you know, especially like after like going to law school, which is a very traumatic experience.
Hey. So y'all can relate.
I needed to go somewhere and just be as free as I
untraumatized.
could. Listen.
De-traumatized.
To Mexico.
So you understand. And so I had originally invited some friends to, you know, come and celebrate in this experience. And, you know, they were like, yeah, I want to go to Jamaica, but can we go like to a different resort? No, this is my trip. I'm inviting you to my trip. If you want to go somewhere else, then you plan your own trip. This is where we're going. So I ended up going by myself.
Okay.
Which is, you know, different in and of itself when you're like traveling, you know, as a single Black woman, you know, to other countries and all this other kind of stuff. And I remember like just going and I was like, well, you paid to be here. You might as well enjoy it. And
Right.
so I just, the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Jennifer, I see you looking at questions. Maybe you have something else?
Yes. What would you like to say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were fine.
Okay.
I have my little question, but you were on a roll, so I was like,
I appreciate it. I don't have anything on the top of my mind. Yeah.
Were there, so you know how I've said like, oh, but how do you separate? Like you said, they're already separate and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any misconceptions about like the nudist or naturist lifestyle that you had to like unlearn for yourself?
No. And I would say it's because going into it, I didn't talk to anybody about it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the people that I invited to come with me on this trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, at that time, like social media wasn't a huge thing. There weren't Instagram reels and TikTok videos and all this other kind of stuff where you can, kind of go down the rabbit hole and also be misinformed in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of approached it as let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was a good thing that I did because it allowed me to really just be able to be open to what the experience was versus, I've watched this video and they said that this, and this was going to happen. And then I show up and I'm waiting for those things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was able to just really enjoy it for what it was. I would say nowadays it's different because of those other aspects like, social media and, everybody has the internet and, there's so much information that is out there. And a lot of it is, I would say a lot of it is inflammatory, for the purpose of gaining views and likes, and things of that sort.
Okay.
But I think if you're really interested in like finding out what it's really like, there are, people and content creators out there that give you the real deal. But a lot of times the real deal is it's not flashy, and it's not, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, that information, gets overlooked. But there's a lot of information out there. Like I said, we're affiliated with ANR, which is the American Association for Nude Recreation. They have a lot of information like on their website.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lobbying group and all kinds of initiatives to educate people about what nudity really is versus, what you may have heard.
Yeah, and you talked about that earlier, like what it really is about. It's more about, shedding that layer of shame and being able to be yourself and having to be yourself. You don't get to rely on the exterior, kind of like the guise of someone who's rich or educated or how you appear, the branding. None of that is there to act as your savior or shield.
Right.
That's really deep. Do you see people within their families, like it would be nothing for you to see an 80-year-old woman and her 40-year-old daughter and her 15-year-old daughter all together naked?
Yeah. So, and that's one thing that ANR is known for. So, ANR facilities are family friendly. So you'll go to their different campgrounds and resorts and things of that sort, and you will see people of all ages. You'll see children. Some of them live there, and so they'll just be, running around because that's their home. That's what they know. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not weird for them. But it's absolutely something that's intergenerational. And of course, as kids get older, they decide for themselves if they, still want to be nudist or if they want to do something else or whatever. But it is something that a lot of nudists will expose their their children to.
It is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were talking about, your post-law school trip and the resort, that had me thinking while listening. But it had me thinking, so if I go to a resort, a clothed resort, but I'm on the beach and I have on a bikini, though arguably it should be a societal norm that no man, for example, would be like looking at, like, oogling me, ogling me. What's the word?
I don't know.
I think it's ogle.
Ogling me.
Yeah.
Staring at.
Or, you know what I mean, giving like a nasty, like, ooh, or, you know what I mean, doing something gross. That's supposed to be like a societal norm that won't happen. So like when it happens, it's like, ugh, man, why are you gross? But people, they go against the norms or expectations. Is it not that it's not uncommon, but does it happen where, I'm at this resort that's understood it's for people who respect this community, but that you'll get people in there who like will, you say hi and then they're like looking at your
Yeah, so that happens, and when it does, a lot of times people will report them to the facility, and they will invite them to leave.
Because that's like a greater infraction than, because if someone doing that to me, like, that happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something, I think many women, we accept it.
Yeah, there's just, when it comes down to, like, these different nude facilities, it's a culture of respect, and that's seen as being, extremely disrespectful, because it's, again, when someone does that to you, that it has sexual undertones, right? And so in this, family-friendly, environment, like a Cypress Cove or a Mira Vista or whatever, it's supposed to just be about nudity.
Right.
So now when you are over here, like, doing all of this, now you're taking it out of, that innocent, like, nudity type thing, and you are crossing over onto the other side of things, and that's not what we're here for.
Are there communities or resorts or places where people can go and that is what they're doing? Like, on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be like, what is the one?
Hedonism.
Hedonism.
What is that? Are you familiar with it?
When I go next month, it will be my 14th visit.
Yeah. Okay.
When I go next month, my 14th visit.
Yeah. So that was actually the place that I first went nude.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And now I get a chance to go every year. It's amazing. Because we actually bring our group to Hedo every year. It's an event we started calling it when we first went in 2020. And so we first started calling it, a BNA, hedonism takeover. And then there were some people that didn't like the fact that we were using the word takeover.
Calm down.
I'm not going to talk about that. And so I was like, okay, well, we got to find something, to call this. And being a product of an HBCU, shout out to FAMU.
Okay, now.
The highest of 7 hills. Anyway, I was like, what's one thing that Black people love? And Black people love homecoming. And so hedonism is a place where, those of us that are regulars, we call it home, because you go and you see the same people, you become friends with the staff and the other guests. And it's literally like coming home. Like when you get out of the car to go, to the resort and go in the lobby and check in, like they say, welcome home. Right.
Wow.
So I was like, we're going to call it homecoming. It's going to be the Black and Naked homecoming. And so that's what it's been for the past several years. And so that trip that we have, that is the trip that kind of like really tap dances on the line between, nudity and sex. So like our regular trips that we have, we normally will like rent like a private home, because it's not like we can just go and run around naked at the Marriott, right?
Right.
So, we have to rent, our own accommodations. We hire a chef to come in and all of that. And we have, rules around like sexual activities and things of that sort. Like, we're not gonna police grown folks. Like, people gonna do what they want to do. We have married people that are a part of our group, right? So we can't say we're not having any sex. Like, no. But if that's what you want to do, and that's totally fine, like, go in your room. Like, there's usually like 10, 12 bedrooms. You know what I'm saying? Like, go in your room. Like, that's not what this group is for. Contrast that you contrast that with the Hedo trip, and it's a completely different experience. One, Hedo is the place where people can come on our trip and they have the option to be nude or not, because it has two sides of the resort. And so, if you are a newbie and you're like, I don't know, then that's a place to go, because you can go try it out over on the nude side. Then if you're like, I tried it and I decided this is not for me,
I'm going to go back home to my other home.
Then you can just like literally just, stay on the side of the resort that doesn't require you to be nude and still have a good time. There's still a pool, there's still a bar, the restaurants and all of that. So I always tell people it's a great way to kind of see like if it's something that you're interested in. Because when we have our like smaller trips where we're renting out like a private home or villa, the expectation is nudity, because otherwise, why are you here?
Right.
But Hedo is a place, it does have an infamous reputation for sure, because they are lifestyle friendly. So there are a lot of lifestylers, swingers groups that go, every year. Different groups will, be there at the same time, different weeks and things of that sort. And that's fine. But again, just because it's there doesn't mean you have to participate, right? And for our group, we do have people that are members of BNA that are also in a lifestyle. But they know, like, when they're at a BNA, like, meetup or event or something like that, that there are certain, rules and stuff that govern, like, being in this nudist space. There are a lot of people that are in the lifestyle that will swing from here to next November that are deathly uncomfortable with being naked.
So when you are talking about lifestyle, do you know what she's talking about?
Oh, I thought we were like swingers and
okay,
orgies, maybe, I don't know.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of put a little definition on when you say lifestyle. What are you referring to?
Yeah, so generally, like when people say the lifestyle, they're talking about swingers and that sort, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's a way, again, it's a less alarming word to use than swinger. Right? Okay. Lifestyle is a little bit more, palatable to say when you're having conversations about it. But I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, we were just discussing the hedonism, and there's two sides, and they don't have to be naked. Now, can naked people go on the clothed side, or can clothed people go on the naked side, or you have to stay on, you got to pick a side?
So you can go anywhere on the resort as a guest. You can be on whichever side you want to be on. There's a nude side and a prude side, which they are currently trying to rebrand into
a nude side or a prude side.
Yeah, they're trying to rebrand it, and now they are calling the prude side clothing optional. Because I guess some people don't like being called prude. But on the clothing optional side, it's just that. You're gonna see people with full-blown outfits on. You're gonna see people with nothing on but a smile. However, when you go to the nude side, you must be nude. And you got a very, very small amount of time to get there. Otherwise, top flight security is going to come and tap you on the shoulder and say either you got to drop them or leave.
Right. Because that gets creepy. Like, what are you, why are you here?
Exactly. exactly. When you're in an environment where everybody's naked and you show up and you got on a whole outfit, you're the weirdo. What are you doing?
Which is why I think hedonism gets a bad rap. Because, like, when I think of hedonism, I think of lifestyle for sure. And I think, like, some people, like, I may see on social media that they went there and it's like, I know what type of individual you are. Like, I know you weren't there respecting nudity. Like, you were there being a creep. You had to have been. There's no way that you weren't. And that's what would make me like, well, one, I wouldn't be naked. But if I were saying I want to be brave and try this, I don't think I would trust hedonism to do it.
Yeah. It depends. And I will say when you go makes a huge difference as well. Because if you are going for the first time and you're like, and you're not a lifestyler, you just want to see if you want to be nude or not. Then going, during, swing break, they don't call it spring break, they call it swing break. Going through, during swing break or going in January where they have a lot of lifestyle groups and stuff like that is probably not the best time to go.
Yeah.
Now when we're there, it's a wonderful time to because we're not a swingers group.
Right.
So the activities that we have are not going to be geared towards that.
Good and wholesome.
Yeah. Good and wholesome. See,
yeah.
Yeah, wholesome.
See, I feel like I'm being recruited. I can't make eye contact with shit.
But yeah, it is a lot of fun. And there really is something for everyone, if you, like I said, if you're a first timer, all the way to if you've been, nudist for years or whatever, or if you're one of those people who, you're a nudist and a lifestyler, like, full spectrum.
Cool.
But I will say in that space, there's rules about, being respectful and all of that as well. Lifestylers don't like creeps either. So if you are being a creep, whether you're a nudist or a lifestyler, like that's just not welcome. And again, they will invite you to leave.
Okay.
Wow. So your family, how do your family receive you as someone who's a naturalist? And what is like, has that ever been something that you had to like come out? Oh,
I just want to know, it says Naturist.
That's what did I say? Naturalist?
Naturalist. So I don't know that that's the same thing.
Please correct me.
Sorry.
Naturist.
Naturist, yeah.
I'm trying to not say nudist, and it's making me say the next thing that I think I know, which is naturalist.
Yeah, so it's not ever really been a discussion. Then this is why. So a few years back, I want to say it was like maybe 2018 or so. We were featured in Essence magazine. And at that point, like I hadn't said anything to my parents about anything. I was just like, I just be out here just doing what I want to do. And I'd let people know after the fact. And I was like, child, somebody's going to read this and call.
That's your baby right there.
Be like, girl, did you see Patrika in the magazine? So it's like, okay. So what I did, I emailed a link to my mom. Now,
that's a safe way to go.
Either she read it and was like, that's my child, she's just gonna do what she wants, or she didn't read my email.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
But you did you did something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it doesn't come up. So yeah. I don't make it a thing.
Yeah.
So
because it's not a thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Is there anything, because we're about to be out of time, is there anything that you would want to leave for like us or people to know about being a nudist or naturist? I don't know, something to clear up misconceptions or how beautiful it is.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I would say it absolutely is a beautiful experience. Especially, from my standpoint as one of the co-founders and seeing how the organization has grown over time, but also seeing how individual people have grown.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, some people coming to us and they were, still a little nervous and things of that sort. And then, by the end of their first trip, they're just like, oh my God, I should have done this a long time ago, and just kind of seeing them grow and then also being able to have that conversation with new people, right? So it really is a beautiful experience, and all of the people that you get to meet along the way, people you get to interact with, when we have our different trips and meetups. And I would just say, again, that everybody has a body and every body is beautiful. And if more people were willing to be open to that, then I think, a lot more people would have, that mindset and not be so beholden by, all the external stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, wherever you go, there you are. And when you're somewhere and you don't have on no clothes, all you have is who you are.
Right.
And that's really what it's all about. But we are slight commercial break. If people want to find out about us.
Yeah, definitely. I want to know how you become a member too.
For sure. So you can go to our website, and so this is funny. So I think the card that you guys have has like BlackNaturistsAssociation.com, and what we realized is that people can't spell. So we now have kind of like a shorthand for our website. It's blackandnaked.com.
Okay.
Got it.
Way
always
easier
have trouble
for people
finding.
to spell. People leave off the S.
Right.
People can't spell association. They screw it up. So our shorthand website is blackandnaked.com. We are also on Instagram, and it's at Black Naturists with an S.
People hate that S.
Yeah.
People do hate the S, but the thing about it is Instagram is so shady. And we're kind of like shadow banned on Instagram. So if you don't spell out our entire handle, Black Naturists with the S, you won't find us.
They don't even assume that's what you mean.
Yeah, like we've been shut down a couple of times because they said like our content was inappropriate. But it's really because the bodies that we show are brown.
Right.
Because if you go to another more Euro focused Instagram account, you got, naked white asses all over the place. And they're
naked white asses.
I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah.
But they don't get shut down. They
stay right
they will
there.
pop up in, if you're just doing a random search, they'll
that
pop
is
up.
insane.
But ours won't. So you gotta type out the whole thing. Wow. But yeah, there's information about membership on our website as well. And again, we do travel. So this year we have Jamaica coming up next month in May for Memorial Day week. We have Ibiza, Spain in July. We have Cap d'Agde, France, which is an entire naturist village. So like the whole town, it's a new town in France.
So you just go to the store and they're
literally
just at the
there's
cash
a grocery
register.
store and you're there like yes. Yes. So we're doing that in August, and then in November, taking a group. I'm hosting this trip in November. We're going to Phuket, Thailand for the week in November. And then in December, we're taking a group to South Africa. We're going to be in Cape Town.
Wow.
Because there actually is a nude beach in Cape Town. A lot of people don't know that. And we just put out our calendar for 2026. And so next year we are doing, we're doing a complete resort buyout in Tulum.
Nice.
In April.
A complete resort buyout.
Yes. Yeah. We have reserved the entire now it's not like a 300 room mega resort. Like but it's a really, really nice resort, great facilities. It's going to be an amazing experience. So we have that going on in April. We'll be back at Hedonism in Jamaica in May for Memorial Day week next year. We also have Greece in June. And then we're doing what else we got? Ciao. We rented oh my God, I forget this one. We are doing we're chartering a mega yacht in Croatia.
A mega yacht in Croatia.
Yeah, so this will actually be our second time doing this. The first time we did it was in 2023. We chartered a mega yacht, leaving out of Split and going to, the different beaches and stuff in Croatia. That is a I want to say, like, outside of, hosting, the Hito trip every year, that Croatia trip is like one of my favorites. So
how
I'm
many
excited.
times?
This will be our second time doing it. And then, so that's in August. And then
in 30 months left.
October, this is my, I guess another one of my personal favorites, but I'm hosting the Nudie Foodie experience in New Orleans. And this will be our second time doing that one as well, because New Orleans is my hometown. I know I sound like it, but I'm from New Orleans. And, we go, and again, we, rent a private home, hire a chef to come in and do our meals and stuff like that. And then there is a nudist park campground. I don't want to quite call it a resort because, you think resort and you think certain things. It's more like rustic. And it's located in Slidell, which is right across the lake from New Orleans. So we go and spend the day there. But we make sure we get in a lot of amazing food while we're there. And then to wrap up 2026, we have a trip to Cartagena in Colombia in November of next year. So we do a lot of meetups domestically and trips internationally as well. So there are quite a few opportunities to connect with us. But yeah.
That's amazing. So you've been to how many? I just want one more question. How many countries have you been to? Because you just named a lot. So I just want to.
I'm at 60 something.
Wow.
Like I want to say like maybe 61, 62-ish at this point. Yeah.
And is it because of your? It's just
so I've been traveling at this point more like longer than I haven't. So my first time out of the country was my senior trip. We did a cruise. And then while I was at FAMU, I did a study abroad program in Spain. And, once you're in Europe, everything is so close. So I had a chance to hop over to Portugal. I went to Tunisia. That's when I went to Egypt. And I went to, where else did we go? Morocco, all the places that were kind of, close by. And then I also, there was a time that I spent 2011 to 2013. I was an English professor in South Korea.
Oh, wow.
And so, again, when you're in that region, I hopped over to Thailand, I hopped over to the Philippines. So, I would always take advantage of
proximity.
Proximity for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I've always been a traveler. So this is just really just kind of right up my alley.
Right. Well,
there's like so much more. It's like
it's a lot.
The professorship, but okay. Yeah.
Listen, I've led a million lives. We can do a part 2 for this as well.
Yeah,
We'll do a part 2.
Wonderful.
But yeah.
So many questions. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure. For anyone who's interested, again, you can find them. You can find Black Naturists Association on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook. Just make sure that you spell it Naturists Association. All right. Does that wrap us up?
I think it does.
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Peace.
See y'all.